Welcome back, everybody. It's your home slice, TheEchoTechno, and today I'm going to be bringing you some team deathmatch on yacht. And today I am just sore. That's like the only thing I can really point out today is I'm just really sore. But over this past weekend, I actually went snowboarding up at Beach Mountain Resort in North Carolina, so I can give you a general location of where I'm located. Not really, because I had to drive about a couple hours to get there, but I had a great time. It was my first time snowboarding, and I went up with a group of about just five people, including me, and I was the only one out of the group that was the first time, and I was the only person out of the group that went snowboarding, so I was already at a disadvantage. Now, not today, this is Saturday, today's Monday, but Saturday was just a very interesting day altogether. So, to start off, I did not know how to snowboard. I felt pretty confident. I felt so confident that I was actually going to get clips to put on my YouTube. That's how confident I was for my first time going snowboarding. Now, all of you that have been snowboarding before or skiing, no, that's not how your first time goes. And I had to figure that out the hard way, but over time, I did actually learn over the course of the day how to somewhat go snowboarding without falling down every 2 seconds. But at the end of the day, I actually did learn one very important trick, and that trick was to lean back, and I really didn't even test that out, but I guess that would really help over time. But in the morning, we got there, everyone, I had to carry about other people's stuff, like gear, because it was pretty heavy for them. I guess they weren't physically fit, even though they looked pretty slim, but I don't even know what happened to them. They were just having some problems. So first off, I had to carry other people's stuff, so that sort of not really tired me, but that sort of put some strain on me. Next thing, I had to put on the snowboard. We were just sort of testing this out on the little slope, but yeah, it would. I don't know how to explain this that well, but when I got on the snowboard, I didn't know how to get on it, so it took me about maybe 20 minutes just to get myself on the snowboard and strapped up and everything. And then it took another 10 minutes to try to get myself up the little hill so that way I wouldn't go downhill into the shops. I almost did that. Even though I haven't really done this before, I almost went down the shop since that was downhill from the point I started snowboarding at. So once it was time for us, we actually went there before our tickets were, I guess, validated, or not really validated, that were actually working. So we were about there an hour earlier than we could actually get on the lift. So we actually did get up on the lifts. I went on the bunny slopes the whole time. So that's another thing to keep in mind here, is that I went on the bunny slopes the whole time. So I somewhat did went with the regular. I had no lessons prior, so I really did have no clue how to get on the snowboard, how to work a snowboard, how anything worked with a snowboard. Even turning with a snowboard was hard. So I went up the first lift that we went to, the guy and sort of instructor, I asked him, how do you turn this thing, since I couldn't do it? And he's like, oh, just give me some general stuff. And I was like, I've never snowboarded before. And he's like, really? Really? He wasn't really giving me a bad time at all. He was just like, really? He sort of went over some basic stuff with me, and I just like, okay, okay. He actually stopped the lift, which was pretty nice, but I really felt bad for other people that wanted to go lifted up into the slope, so I just sort of, rushed somewhat for him to tell me. So I went up at the lift, and once I got off, I fell off. Once I reached the top of the lift, I just fell off because I didn't know how to get off the lift. So I fell off the first time I went off the lift, and I sort of crawled out people's way. So yeah, I guess Saturday was sort of a lot of crawling, and falling would be the best summary, even though I thought I had a pretty positive outlook of I wouldn't fall at all. So at the first slope, we took this little side route. It was, I guess there was a higher route and a lower route, what I guess would be the best way to describe it, but the lower route, which is one I took, was closer to a bank, and once again, downhill is always not in my favor when I'm trying to turn. So I've been trying to turn the whole time, and I just kept on going downhill, and soon enough you see me in a bank with some trees. Luckily I sort of crashed before I even went down with the trees, but luckily I didn't go into the trees and I didn't get hurt that way. So it took about maybe 10-15 minutes for me to crawl back up to where I can actually snowboard again. And that was basically the first run. The second run, I sort of learned somewhat of not to go down the lower part of the hill. Yeah, but I sort of skipped a part from the first part, from going down the hill into the bank. I tried to get on the lift again, which is right next to a bank, the same bank that went down the hill, so it's basically all connected on this little side. But I went down, and I accidentally broke a sign. Yeah, I broke one of the, like, they have like little hazard stop signs. I accidentally like fell down the little bank and I ran over one of the signs and I think I broke it. I heard it snap and it sort of fell out of its place. It didn't go too far off its place, but it fell out of its place definitely. And I tried to stick it back into the rocks, but it wouldn't fit back in there, so I was just like, oh, hopefully no one saw me. I just sort of climbed up. As you know, I did a lot of climbing. And I went up the second time. This time, I actually did learn how to somewhat steer a little bit, but not too much to where I was fully in control of the steering, and I had no proper way of braking at all. So when I reached the end of the little slope to where people slow down and everything, I was down there going probably about 20 miles an hour, probably about 15 kilometers if that's pretty close, down the slope, and that's pretty fast for a moving vehicle, I guess would be. I don't know, it's pretty fast comparing, even though to me, of my point of view, but it was pretty fast. I didn't know how to stop, so as you know, momentum and downhill is not always in my favor at all. So I basically tried to turn, but that didn't work out well. So I did a couple of turns on the snowboard about counterclockwise a couple times, maybe did a flip or two, and skid down about 50 feet or about 30 meters. I'm just making up estimates for measurements here, but it was pretty close to either one of those, and I didn't want people staring at me, and I just sort of got up as fast as I could, so I didn't want to be the laughing stock, as you know. First time going snowboarding, being laughed at, or I don't know, if other people were falling down too. This was the most hilarious thing I found out about that day was there was more skiers than snowboarders, you know, probably, but there was more snowboarders on the ground than there was actually snowboarders standing up. So I sort of fell into the crowd of the normal people, I guess what you would call them. So I guess I sort of felt normal that day, but it was my first time. Hopefully I'm sort of doing better, but I doubt it at all. So next thing was probably the third or fourth time I went up there. I sort of learned to put one foot on, have one foot strapped in. It actually made me have one foot strapped in and another one to push off, but I learned how to sort of push off from that. And once I sort of figured out how to do that, there was this person probably having some trouble with me too, but he was using skis and he didn't know how to get off the lift. So as soon as I get up there at the top of the lift, I'm like, oh no, there's a group of people standing right in front of the lift. So I just like dolphin dive, I guess would be the best way to describe it. I need a better word for a best way to describe it. I just basically dolphin dived off the ski lift and sort of crawled my way out of the way of other people. So yeah, I was and they were saying, oh, it's his first time too. They could tell. He's like, oh, you don't fall too. I'm like, well, I wouldn't have fell if you were there. But I mean, I really don't care. I wanted to make the guy feel better, so I let them make fun of me, and not really make fun of me, but sort of help this guy out, and I didn't react at all. So I went off with my day, and I actually did learn how to steer a little bit throughout the day, as I said before, but I never did learn how to fully control my snowboard or stop or slow down at all. So I basically I was probably one of the fastest people going down the bunny slopes compared to other professional people that had been down there before, as I can tell. I was the only person down the bunny slopes. I went really fast because I know I like speed, but I don't know how to stop the speed. So it was sort of like an adrenaline rush that didn't stop until the very end, and then you sort of had to go, oh no, warn other people that you're about to crash. So yeah, that was pretty interesting, trying to get people to tell them that I'm gonna crash. Luckily that day I did not run into anyone. That was probably the best thing that could have happened that day. There was a lot of people, but I didn't run into anyone, so I was pretty happy about that. And I felt pretty accomplished that day. It was, to sum it up, I felt pretty accomplished. Next time I go, I'm gonna lean back, see if it helps. I need to take some lessons, definitely. Maybe get a GoPro in the future, record some clips, maybe have a friend of mine edit them for me, and we can get this rolling. Maybe get some cool shots would be the best. Maybe do a diamond one day would be one of my goals. But first, let's start off with the easy directions of turning, stopping, and slowing down. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. Hopefully you guys got something out of it if you go snowboarding or whatever. But that's basically all I have. Thank you for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. Have a great day. Stay tuned for more. And thank you for watching again. Thank you.